Okay, here starts the documentation of our next big family adventure. Say hi, Dad.
Hey, Dad.
It is 6:45 a.m. and Sean and I are on our way to Cruise America in Manassas, Virginia to pick up
the rest of our lives, to pick up our future.
To pick up our RV. I guess I can get us both in here. We bought a 2019 Thor Majestic 28A. It is a 30-foot Class C RV. It has 150,000 miles on it. It's totally refurbished. It's all warranted and everything.
Yeah, from the powertrain to the tanks, everything is covered for 5 years.
And the interior. Did you say the interior?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah. From the tanks. Yeah.
Tanks, right?
Top to bottom.
So we've lived at our townhouse in Catonsville, Maryland for 3 years. We moved in there when I was pregnant with Atlas, and we expected to live there for another year. And then
as we paid their mortgage and prepared to purchase a mortgage of our own.
Yeah. We're not ready to buy a house yet, but we will be this time next year. And so last week, 2 days before Thanksgiving, it's November 30th today, I got a text message from our landlord asking us if we wanted to extend our lease another month. Wow.
At its close.
Well, first of all, we're about to pass Oz, so I want to show that and see if I can't turn it around this way, so I'm going to turn around this way. But, and so there's a bit of a language barrier, and so I responded to her and I was like, do you mean to ask us if we want to renew our lease for another year? And she was like, no. It's not going to be a rental property when your lease is up at the end of February, but you can stay an extra month if you'd like, which was like devastating news. Now, if we're perfectly honest, we had been hemming and hawing, like, should we stay here another year? Should we look for another place? And every time we looked to see what was out there, we're like, no, we should just stay put for another year.
Because prices just keep climbing and climbing and climbing, and
yeah.
It's
we when we moved in 2021. February, March 2021, we were paying just under $2,000 a month for our townhouse, 1,500 square feet. We signed a 2-year lease. We renewed the lease, and our landlords increased rent by about $150 a month. Fine. We're still paying less than $2.2 thousand a month. Everything else now, comparable, like lower quality townhouses and everything, or like everything is like $2,800 a month. We looked at a house. It was $3,200 a month, and it was a great house, you know. But it was too big. We didn't have enough stuff. Like, we have too much stuff. We've outgrown our current townhouse, but we don't have enough furniture to fill this like new house. It had a huge yard, which is obviously great, except that we'd have to maintain it. And the more and more we thought about it, it's like, we could rent this house. It's close to the preschool that we want to send Atlas. It's in the area that we really like and that we currently live. But we'd be giving these people $40,000
in 1 year.
In 1 year. We'd have to maintain their big ass lawn, and we're just like, you know what? We don't want to do that anymore. Like, we could be ready to buy a house in 8 months, and instead we'd be signing this other year lease at this other house, just throwing our money to something we're never gonna, see anything back from. So another option is, we get a short-term apartment rental for like 6 months, and then we buy a house. Fine, that's like reasonable. Still expensive. Still like more expensive.
$1,400-$1,500 a month for an apartment.
More than that.
Oh, I was talking about a single bedroom.
Oh, for a single bedroom. Oh no, well, I don't know why we would get a single bedroom.
That's right, but that's just as a glimpse into what the market is around here.
Yeah, well,
$1,400 for one bedroom apartment.
Yeah, well, and a two bedroom apartment still like up in the $2,500, $2,800 range. So it's just like, why would we do that? And one reason that we would consider doing that is because we have our au pair, and we love our au pair, and you know, the whole au pair dynamic is like really challenging and strange in a lot of different ways. And we decided to join the au pair program because we decided it would be the best, most affordable care that we could give Atlas at this time. It's really hard to find quality, affordable healthcare. Well, that too. Quality, affordable childcare for kids under 3. You know, when Atlas was 15 months old, we put him in daycare for the first time, and it was like a mediocre daycare. I like to say that like it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. They just like never went outside. He obviously came home sick all the time. And registering and getting him enrolled in a different daycare, a better daycare, is so competitive that we wanted him out of his old daycare badly enough and into a new daycare badly enough that we accepted a part-time enrollment in another daycare and decided to fill those care gaps with an au pair. And so our au pair has been with us for 6 months. And, you know, there's been trials and tribulations, but like ultimately it's been really good for Atlas. He's been able to just spend time, like all the time outside. He's never sick. And so if we were to rent the house that's too big, you know, it would really be to accommodate our au pair. If we were to rent the apartment for 6 months, well, while we would need to accommodate our au pair, it would still be like too small. Like Atlas would be sleeping in our room so that our au pair could have her own room, which she's entitled to. But at the end of the day, we're like, this just doesn't really make sense anymore. So our requirements for care have changed. And it's just kind of funny that this happened the way it did, because like just a couple weeks ago, I was sitting at my desk and daydreaming like, oh, we could get an RV and I could work remotely and Sean could, you know, spend quality time with Atlas, and, you know, we could go to the national parks on the weekends and all these things. And I was like, well, that's probably not going to happen because Sean would have to quit his job and, you know, X, Y, and Z. And then we found this out from our landlord, and we were like, maybe this is the time to do it, you know? We'll throw money at something and have some, like, an asset in return and an experience to show for it. And so the last week has been really stressful. While we're like, do we rent this house that we don't really want to rent because it's so expensive and it's so big and the lawn is so huge.
But I want to make this point. We kind of put it up to the universe. Lauren and I have had incredible luck with things just happening for us when it's time, when it's supposed to, when it's right. And sure, we had some stress in that last week, but to be in the position we are right now this morning is immensely different than.
Yeah.
And it happened really easily. It was everything, sure, hard, but not hard.
Yeah, there were a couple moments when I was like, are we really going to be able to do this? Are we really going to be able to pull this off? Like when we had to get financed for an RV. I have a fair amount of financial trauma. # Great Recession Millennial. But I called my Uncle Tim, who is like a career lender, and asked him for advice. And he directed me to Cruise America. And we had different ideas of what we might want out of an RV. But then when we looked at Cruise America and we saw, the fleet that they were trying to sell. And
every 5 years they revamp their RV line and they make them some available to the public.
Yeah, well, they sell them.
Yeah.
And we call.
Well, and just to be clear, that them selling them, that making available to the public, is more. It's an extensive reconditioning process that is more than just like, hey, buy one of these, rode out RVs that we've, had for 5 years. So there's a big reconditioning process that goes through, and we spoke a little about the warranty. Feel really good about it.
Yeah. And we got fair financing. So we called the Manassas Cruise America on Saturday. We put a deposit down because there's this one RV that they're allowed to cut another $3,000 off of.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to Black Friday, we got the initial $16,000 off the sale price, and that ends. It ends today. Today's our last opportunity.
Yeah. So allegedly, with Black Friday, we saved $16,000 off the retail price plus an extra $3,000 because this is like the special RV in the fleet that gets the extra discount for whatever reason. So, the past several days, it was like, oh my gosh, are we going to get approved for financing? Are we going to get approved for financing? We look at Credit Karma. My credit is like in the 630 range because my credit utilization is kind of high. Everything else is fine, but those credit cards cost of childcare, I'm telling you. But then they ran my FICO score, and my FICO score is 685, which was like a really pleasant surprise. And thank goodness for my job, my income is high and our debt to income ratio is really low, and so we got approved. And so we're taking what we would have put down as a deposit for this apartment, and we're putting it
on an asset.
We're putting it down as a down payment on this RV. And so we'll be there in 30 minutes. We're very early. It doesn't open until 9. We're gonna go get breakfast, and we're gonna drive it home. And then the part of this that makes me really kind of sick, honestly, is that tonight we have to tell our au pair that we're withdrawing from the au pair program.
Which I think she's going to be okay with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the implications are. I think she may have to go back to Mexico for a period of time before she rematches. I don't know. It's going to be a really hard conversation. But the reality is that we can't afford to move into a big enough place for her to be comfortable. And we want to invest our money smarter, and our care needs have changed. So it sucks. We did expect to have her for a year, and I think she's going to be really disappointed, and it's going to be tough. But every new adventure is bittersweet, right? So on that note, this has been a solid 15 minutes of us blabbing away. The next time we sign on here, we'll be looking at our new RV. Say bye, baby.
Bye.